So this evening, because as you can see it's very dark, we're going to be working on, think about opening the chest. So we're going to take a little bit of time. It's going to be hopefully a slightly more gentle class, but just thinking about the rib cage and the chest, thinking about trying to breathe and use the whole of the thorax, working inherently with trying to release the upper spine and the neck. Especially in winter times, we tend to kind of be sort of held up in these tight positions, or lots of us are sat maybe at desks or on computers a lot, or staring at screens, whether it's your mobile or not. But yeah, that's our focus for today. So get comfortable, grab whatever you need. If you need blocks or cushions or anything, have that ready and we'll get started. So this time we're going to start kneeling, because we'll work in towards child's pose in a little bit. We won't spend too long here. If kneeling is super uncomfortable for you, obviously don't kneel, or if you have any knee issues. But remember that you can use blocks underneath your bum, or sort of release the blanket underneath your feet or between your bum and your feet, just to kind of support yourself here. So try and stretch through the pelvis, through the legs, and bring your hands up onto the top of the thighs so the elbows are kind of working back. Keep the neck long, keep the abdominals strong, very gently engaged, not overworking, and think about the space across the collarbones. So closing your eyes, as always, beginning to connect in with yourself before we get moving, and just observing how you're feeling today, both physically and emotionally. And just taking time to check in with how you're feeling, how the body's feeling. And thinking about moving the breath around the rib cage. We tend to just breathe around the very top part of the rib cage, so we tend to stay with very short, shallow breaths, especially when we're a bit stressed or if we're really cold. Again, everything's kind of goes a bit more fecal, so it's harder to make that fuller breath. So what we're going to think about is bringing that into a possibility. So keeping the eyes closed, or as always, if you need to, focus down on the floor. But I want you to think about, maybe visualize inside your mind the space that the chest holds. So there, obviously, within your chest, you've got the heart and the lungs. So every time we use all of those muscles to stretch and expand and make all that space down through the belly, round to the back of the spine, we're allowing space to then draw all that air into the lungs, to take all that good stuff that we need around the blood to provide the body with energy, with support, as well as working deep within the nervous system. So just visualizing your rib cage, trying to think about the fact that we're not just breathing within this sort of center part of the body, we're trying to take the breath a little deeper. So thinking about maybe moving that breath up and down the inside of the torso. Maybe you might find it useful to kind of think about the breath deep inside, kind of rippling and rolling up along the vertebra, along the spine, to try and sort of release and roll a little bit of space along the back of the body. Keep feeling that breath rolling up and down from the very base of your pelvis all the way up towards your jaw. So again, thinking about the breathing muscles, connecting the jaw and the neck and the throat down to the collarbones that lift the sternum, lift the front of the ribs, as well as obviously the diaphragm, the intercostals, the diaphragm leading and attaching through to your pelvis and your spine. So just observing how, when we have any issues in those areas, that can affect your breath, or equally, if we're not breathing properly, those can affect those muscles. So just feeling into that area. And now that we've worked a couple of times thinking and observing this idea of breathing up and down the body, I want you to think about breathing from the center out to the edge. Thinking about really allowing the ribcage to expand like you're pushing it against your arms. And thinking about that 3D-ness of our bodies, taking that breath again and again from the center to the edge. Again, it's not always really easy to observe if your ribcage expanding, but if you can feel it, work with it. If not, you can also bring your hands onto the side of your ribs And as you take a fuller breath, you'll notice obviously the hands will expand with your ribs. And if there's not very much movement, it also means, well, give yourself a bit of time, but also that, I forgot what I was going to say. Well, anyway, just breathe into your ribs and just having a little play around with noticing if that breath can expand a little more. Keep focusing still on breathing across to the edges of the body. And keep lifting the head tall, but without kind of reaching the jaw up to the ceiling. Keep the jaw level with your pelvis, with the floor. And now for the last round of breaths before we go into child's pose and release the legs, which are probably slowly losing blood to the feet. We're going to think about moving the breath. So we've gone up and down, we've gone side to side. Now we're going to go from back to front. So I want you to think about moving that breath from the center again to your spine and to your chest and in. Keep moving that breath. So now again we're thinking about all of the three planes in which the body stands, and thinking about moving that breath in each and every dimension of your body. Keeping the breath long and slow. Relaxing your collarbones, relaxing your jaw. Remove your tongue from the roof of your mouth. And on your next exhalation, now let's release the legs a little. So release the legs so you're opening them a little wider so you've got space for your belly to come down through your thighs. And then we're going to release the arms either out in front or bring them round behind you. You decide what helps you relax. And again, that's quite useful. We have the belly is slightly compressed, the spine it's a little easier to breathe into the spine. So taking a couple more breaths here, really mindfully letting go of the body. If it's not comfortable, also you feel like your hips are kind of pulling you forwards, you can bring a cushion or maybe your hands underneath your head, depending on how tight your neck or shoulders or spine is. But just making sure that you feel really supported and comfortable for these next 3 breaths. Think about moving the breath from top to bottom, left to right, and front to back. Allowing the ribcage to expand again and again with each inhalation. And breathing out what we don't need in the body with each exhalation. And now on your next exhalation, let's come up and start moving. So reach your hands out in front unless they're already there, in which case get just pushing into the floor. And we'll start to really reach and push the spine up to the ceiling, tuck your chin to your chest. Inhale, squeeze the belly and open across the front of your collarbones. Exhale, keep rolling and moving through the vertebra. Thinking about supporting your lumbar by engaging your abdominals and feeling that movement coming more from the upper spine, where there isn't tons of movement, but that's the area we're working on. Let's not rely on the fact that we've already got quite a lot of movement and mobility in the lower spine. So just being careful to not overwork that area. And keep moving and rippling between these positions. If this is enough for you to begin with, work with this. If you feel like you can start to work a little further, we're going to stretch the arms out in front towards puppy pose, and we're going to drop down to extended puppy pose. Press into the hands and then round the spine and move the pelvis forwards. Exhale, try and drop the forehead or the jaw and the forearms down. Exhale, move the hips forwards and rounding the spine. So just taking that stretch a little deeper. Keep moving through the spine, through the core, through the neck and the throat. If you find you're really hugging your head, make sure you've got that space across the front of your body, so you're not sort of squeezing. There's space still around the front of your collarbones. So take the arms a little wider if you're finding that still happening. Keep moving with the breath, beginning to align the movement with the breath, and a couple more times, dropping a little deeper, rounding the spine a little more. And then exhale, hold down into extended puppy pose. If that's not possible, just stay in normal puppy pose with the body elevated and you're just creating a diagonal line. If you can work a little deeper, then do drop the ribs, the forearms and the chin or the forehead down to the ground, and stay here for 3 breaths. Again, making sure that you're opening across the neck and shoulders, you're squeezing your abdominals, you're pulling the hips back, but rooting down through your toes and your hands. Take 1 more breath here. And then slowly release, pressing back into all fours. Just bring the thighs together and just let the hips rock from right to left, just sort of shaking off any holding in the lower spine, in the pelvis. Keep those arms strong and straight, keep your chest open, your collarbones broad. And when you've done both sides, come back to the center again and release the knees so they're back underneath your hips. Bring your right hand into the center, left hand onto the back of your head, and we're going to close the left elbow to the right, and then inhale, lift and breathe from the belly to the shoulder. Exhale 5 times, dropping down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. And release, exhale down and slowly swap. Pressing your left hand now into the center, bring your right hand onto the back of your head. Close your elbow down and inhale, lifting up. Keep moving with the breath. Make sure you don't twist the pelvis too much. The pelvis stays relatively square. 2 more times. Rotating through the ribs, enjoying that twist last time. And then slowly release, pressing down into your hands again. And just give the head a little roll. Release the neck, release the jaw, give your face a little kind of squeeze. And then come back into the center. Flex your toes, pull your hips diagonally behind you and lift up into downward dog. Spread those fingers and just take a couple of breaths. As always, maybe wriggling through the hips, bending 1 knee at a time. So you're kind of just easing in to the back of the body. Staying here, relaxing your neck and shoulders. Pressing down through the toes, through the fingers. Keep softening here so you're really pulling the tailbone nice and high. Take 1 more breath, and then as you inhale, reach your right leg up to the ceiling and bring your right leg in front, left knee down. Sweep those arms up to the ceiling and then take the hands wide so you're opening across the chest. From the front, so you've gone up and then open wide. So you're trying to reach diagonally behind you, really making space across the front. Exhale, release, fold down and come back to downward dog. Staying in downward dog just for 1 breath. Keep releasing. Keep softening here. And on your next exhalation, lift your left leg high. Step your left leg in front, right knee down. Press onto the top of the foot. Inhale, arms high to begin with. And then drop the pelvis if you can. If you can't, don't worry. Reach the arms wide and open across the chest. Engage through your core and lean a little further back. So try and avoid crunching the head back. Keep the head still lifting and long. And release, closing down, press into your hands, left leg back, have a little wriggle, give the head a shake, give the hips a shake. Inhale, right leg high, right leg in front, left knee down. Coming up into an easy lunge, so you've got your left leg quite straight, so you're creating kind of a 90-degree angle with your legs and pelvis. Keep engaging through your core. And then bring your hands behind you and press your hands onto the back of your head and open your elbows as wide as you can. And now from here, I want you to think about pulling the elbows back and looking up to the ceiling. And then exhale, closing and rounding the spine, pulling the elbows in. Inhale, lifting, so you should feel that lift from the leg through the pelvis. But exhale, working a little deeper through the neck and the shoulders. 3 more times, opening, keep pressing the head to the hands, and the hands to the head. 1 more time. Opening across the chest. And then slowly release. Hands down, right leg back, left leg high, and left leg all the way in front. Right knee down, lifting up. Again, make sure you haven't gone really deep into a lunge so you can keep your body straight. Keep engaging through your core, tailbone tucking down, opening across your chest. Hands onto the back of the head, open those elbows as wide as you can, and then feel like you're kind of pulling your head up out of your neck. Breathing gently here, inhale, open, exhale, close. In, woo, without falling. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Keep squeezing the core. Keep lifting that head and neck. Opening. I've totally lost count again already. Let's do 2 more. Counting is not my forte. 1 more. And then exhale, slowly release. Hands down. Pulling back into downward dog. We'll do 1 more round and take a little rest. So reach your right leg up. Step your right leg in front, left knee down. So going a little deeper into that lunge now. So dropping the pelvis forwards, but still making sure that this your shin is in a straight line. Lift your torso up again, draw your belly back, open across the front of your body. So you're letting the pelvis drop and you're kind of leaning forwards. If this is enough, stay here. If you can go further, we're going to now reach the arms back. So you can either just reach those arms back and think about lifting your sternum up to the ceiling. If you can go further, we're going to clasp the fingers, push the hands down, and again maybe stay there, looking forwards. Or if you can take it further, reach the hands up and back, and then look diagonally in front of you. Keep thinking about trying to press the palms together. They tend to kind of pull with the wrists kind of doing this funny stretching position. See if you can bring those hands a little closer. 1 more breath, and exhale. Gently unravel, release the arms. Come back, take a couple of breaths in downward dog. Pushing down through your hands and your heels, or towards your heels. And then exhale, lift your left leg up. And bring your left leg in front, right knee down. Again, letting the pelvis kind of drop forwards a couple of times, making sure you're not kind of rounding into the spine. Keep opening across the chest, pressing down through the feet, breathing here. Stay low, or again, lift your torso a little higher. Keep the hands resting onto the thighs, but lean a little bit further forward so you're not, again, holding into the lower spine. Breathe here, or gently press down through the feet. Squeeze your belly and reach your arms behind you. Then either, if you can, try and clasp the fingers, reach those hands back so you're really plugging the elbows in towards each other. Point the index finger away, tuck your chin, and reach the hands away. Opening across the chest, breathing into the back of the body, lifting and lengthening. So you're really trying to make a little bit more space around the rib cage and supporting through the core. Take 2 more breaths here. 1 last breath. And slowly release the arms, press down through the hands, and come back to downward dog. Pull those hips diagonally back, and slowly soften, knees wide, releasing down into child's pose. Breathing into the back of the body, give the wrists and shoulders a rest. Let the whole body hang heavy here. Taking 3 breaths here, really slowing the breath down. We're going to get moving a little bit more again, and then we'll hold one pose static to finish this little half-an-hour session. So take 1 last breath in child's pose, and then exhale, reach your arms out in front, round your spine to come up onto all fours, flattening the spine, squeeze your belly, toes engaging, lift up to downward dog. Give your head a shake, take 1 more breath. And then reach your right leg high. Step your right leg in front. Dropping your left knee down. Lift the arms up and lean them a little further back. So you're taking the arms in line. You're reaching high instead of just kind of reaching back. So lift up. Then see if you can take yourself diagonally behind you. Exhale, roll forwards. Right leg high. We're going to repeat that 3 times on the same leg. So inhale, right leg up. Right leg in front. Left knee down, arms high. Seeing if you can then again reach the arms a little further up, reaching diagonally behind you. If that's not comfortable, take the arms a little wider. Think about the space. You're breathing into the edges of the ribs. And release. Right leg high. Drop the leg down. 1 more time on this side. Inhale, right leg up. In front. Left knee down, sawing those arms up. Open across the chest and lean, lifting nice and high, opening through the center of your body. And release. Right leg high and down. Breathing, 1 breath. And we'll go to the left. Lift your left leg. Step your left leg in front, right knee down. Sweep those arms up and again lean a little further. Noticing if this side feels more comfortable or if there's less space maybe. Observe what each side feels like. Come back. Lift the left leg high, drop it down. 2 more times. Inhale, left leg up. Left leg in front, right knee down. Arms lifting, leaning and lifting up. Diagonally behind you, shoulders softening, squeeze your core. And release. Left leg high, left leg down. 1 more time. Left leg up. All the way in front, right knee down. Arms lifting, opening through the back of the body. Squeezing and engaging through the front of the body. Lifting and leaning just a little further. And release. Left leg high and left leg down. Couple of breaths in downward dog. Give the head a shake, the hips a shake. Breathe into the back of the body. And then slowly release. Drop down onto your knees. Resting onto the top of your feet. And let the forehead rest. Bring the arms behind you. And again, just take 3 breaths here. One more breath, let go of the head, maybe give it a little movement from left to right. And then slowly release, coming back to the center. Now we're going to quickly do a gentle camel pose, and then one more pose before we finish completely for today. So, starting by resting your hips down onto your heels, keep your spine lifting high, thighs tucking in, pressing onto the tops of your feet. And I want you to just think about this idea of lifting the sternum up towards the ceiling. So there's no kind of pushing straight into the lower spine. So hug your belly strong and bring your hands down towards the floor. And this is when you start burping, if you're me. So if you do that, then do that. If not, carry on as you were. So you can either press into your fingertips or you can press flat down into your hands. And then I want you to think about kind of, so you're in a kind of diagonal position, pulling the body back. And now lean the ribs forwards, and you'll think about squeezing those shoulder blades as tight together as you can. You're staying stable in the lumbar region and trying to find a little more space in through the upper spine, through the ribs. So if it's more comfortable, keep your chin tucking in, or it might be okay to look up to the ceiling if there's no tension in the neck. And keep pushing. Keep thinking about this idea of lifting out and then dropping back ever so slightly. So again, this might be your limit. Keep squeezing your thighs. This already might feel super strong and a bit difficult for your lower spine, in which case come a little higher and think about rolling those hands as far back behind you and then squeezing those shoulder blades together. Think about the space again we're making at the front of the body so you can take all that breath down and around. If you want to go further, then we'll come a little further. Stay where you are if you want to. If not, we're going to lift up onto the knees, flex the toes, and then squeeze your belly. Bring your hands onto your belly, elbows hugging in, and again lifting up and kind of dropping back. So you're squeezing behind you, pushing the hips forwards, and then you can maybe take one hand down and maybe stay with that. Come back. Maybe swap to the other side, making sure you're not twisting completely, you're still lengthening. If you can work with both, you have to kind of fall back and then reach a little further forwards, opening the throat if it's comfortable. If not, look in front, squeeze your belly, keep thinking about pushing your hips forwards. The ribs and the sternum are lifting up. Take one more breath. And then exhale, wherever you are, slowly release. Coming back. And pressing into your hands, rounding the upper spine a little, just release the legs, release the knees. And then come back into a flat back position and give the head a little shake. And just let the hips rock, just trying to release any holding in the sacrum, in the lumbar. You might find you kind of arch the spine up and drop down, or maybe draw some circles moving through the pelvis. Keep those hands straight, the chest open. Moving as much or as little as your body feels it needs. And then gently, slowly release. Again, tuck your nose to your knees, grab hold of your heels and squeeze into a tight ball just for one breath, releasing the spine, especially the lower spine. And then exhale, slowly release, roll up through the top of the body. and swing your legs out in front of you. So we're going to finish with half bridge, and then it's relaxation. So coming down onto your spine, we won't hold it for too long. We're just having a little feel into how that bit of opening and moving work we've done with the chest and the torso. So bring the heels as close towards your bum as you can. Make sure that the knees aren't opening or sort of twisting to one side. That was really exaggerated, but just so you get me. Make sure the heels are in line with your bum. Knees are pointing up to the ceiling. Press into your big toes, into your little toes, and press into your palms either side of you. Keep your neck looking up to the ceiling if you can, and hopefully I will make enough sense that you won't need to look at the screen. But keep tucking your chin down, keep squeezing your belly, and just start by tucking your pelvis up towards the ceiling. So there'll be a small movement that engages your glutes and presses into your feet, and that'll just make you feel like your bum has lifted ever so slightly off the floor. If you feel you can go further, start to then lift, and you're beginning to think about pulling the pelvis diagonally away from your shoulders. That might be enough just with a very gentle elevation of the pelvis, kind of sort of opening across the chest and bringing those hands a little further underneath the body. Keep engaging through your core, keep engaging through your thighs, inner thighs, pelvic floor. Keep pressing through the feet, and again notice if one knee wants to twist. Keep those legs strong. If you can go further, you might find there's space to kind of roll the arms underneath the body and bring the hands together and reach the ribs up just a little higher. So you can then start to feel that a little bit more stretch come through the chest. Strong through the pelvis and core. You can stay with the hands down, or if you want also, if you're up high enough, it might be quite nice to hook the thumbs. So you bring the thumbs and the elbows under, and that brings you up nice and high. You've also got a little bit of pressure from your hands onto your lower spine, making sure your spine is supported, and it gets you up that little bit higher, just seeing if you're comfortable up here. And then again, you can either stay here, keep pressing through the feet. It's really easy to just kind of not use the feet, but keep using the feet, keep tucking the chin, keep breathing into your ribs, into your belly. Bring those elbows in nice and close underneath you. And again, once you're up in this position, you might find you can then stay there and then release the hands back underneath, clasping the fingers. Or maybe you can also, she says, coming down, you can also grab hold of the heels and then bring yourself a little closer there. So you're feeling that stretch come a little tighter in through your pelvis. Let's stay there for one more breath. And then very gently release. Roll the spine gently all the way down. Have the palms face up. Release the feet a little further away. Just have the spine, the lower back and pelvis root back down to the ground. Just letting the spine neutralize here. Automatically we tend to just take the knees to the chest to release the spine the other way, but it's quite nice to just be passive with the body first before we stretch it and release it. So taking a couple more breaths here. Feeling that nice space across the front of the collarbones, across the belly and the pelvis. And then if you feel like you need to release the spine, do bring the knees into the chest, lift the nose to the knees, and then drop the head back down. And then it's time for relaxation. So give everything a little wriggle, a little shake. And it's time to release. Time for Shavasana. So let the legs reach out in front of you. Bring the arms either side of you. And grab any socks or jumpers or blankets. Make sure you're comfortable and lay the body down here, releasing and softening. Keep the eyes closed and the breath long and slow. Maintaining this position, stay lying down as you release your focus in on the body. I'm just taking a couple of breaths for this short Shavasana. You can stay here as long as you need to, but just being aware of the work we've done. Maybe specifically closing this session as you lie here a little longer in Shavasana. Thinking about breathing up to the collarbones, up through the neck to the jaw. And then breathing all the way down to the sides of the ribs, down to the sides of the belly, deep within your pelvic girdle. And now taking that breath round to the back of the spine. Keep feeling like you can move the breath into the spine, and you feel that resistance, because as the breath pushes to the spine then pushes against the ground behind you. And just letting the body kind of adjust. Letting the neck be long, the body be heavy on the ground, and just feeling into that bit more space you maybe now have, that little bit more ease within the breath to take within the muscles as well, within the chest, to take a slightly fuller breath. And keep seeing if you can slow yourself down for a couple more breaths as you relax the head, face, neck, and shoulders. Relaxing the arms, wrists, hands and fingers. Softening the torso, the spine, the chest and the belly. Releasing and softening the pelvis, the hips and the glutes. Down through the thighs, the legs, the knees, the ankles. The whole of the feet and the toes softening, releasing the whole body. Again, if this is enough for you, you can finish here and gently make your way up to a comfortable sitting position. Have a little wriggle from right to left. If not, by all means stay longer in Shavasana. And if you're ready to finish, coming up to a comfortable sitting position, lifting the spine, and we'll close the class with 3 breaths, feeling into the length, space, and focus we brought into the mind, body, and breath. Thank you very much. Have a lovely rest of your day.